I was I took some courses. Michael Simpson owns the National Commercial Real Estate Associate like advisors in California, and it's like a 3-day course. It's really good. It was years ago. I have like a big book, and I kind of can refer back to it. But it helped me a lot in the beginning as far as like rental surveys and all types of stuff. So I'll just kind of like jump into a few transactions that I've done. Over in Sandy, I did this, trying to minimize that there. So over in Sandy, this was like a vacant unit, had been vacant for a long time, needed some work. It was like a dental lab space, and it was in
Have
a
you shared
commercial
that with
ownership.
us, Melissa?
Mhm.
Have you shared that screen with us? Are you sure
Oh, I'm trying.
you can?
You can't see my screen.
No, no, hit the green one that says share down the bottom,
Uh,
like new share.
Says you are screen sharing. That's what it says for me.
Yeah, I don't know why it
I
says
had to
that.
select the option. So it looks like you're still sharing, Randall, and I had to click on Melissa's. So I had to go
Oh,
up to the view options and click on hers.
view
Can
on.
anyone see my screen or?
I
No,
can. Yeah.
advanced. So where am I looking at
At the very top, there was a button that said view options. And then once it said share screen, I was able to click on Melissa's.
okay, so all I've got is I've got a bunch of people on there, and then let's see.
Okay. Mine says in green, are you screen sharing? There's a red button that says stop share. So gosh, I'm
So let
looking at my
me
screen,
so
but
let me do. There you go. I had to
you
stop.
can see me now?
I got you now.
My screen. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like the QR code if anyone's interested in like looking up their courses. They may even have like an introductory one that I don't know how much it costs. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, but it's great. So I'll just jump into the transaction. So this was like a vacant dental lab space, 2,500 square feet, which it was a side by side. They divided it years ago, but they shared utilities, so it was kind of tricky. Anyways, this one we didn't have a problem selling, like a traditional commercial loan. Just needed some repair. There was leaking in the basement, but it worked out well. And then this other one, so Fortune Cuisine, they had a lease in place. So there were tenants till 2025. So this was like, I think 2021. So there was 4 years left on the lease, and it was a seller finance deal. And it was really hard to sell this one with the tenants in the place because the tenants didn't want to sell that. They actually wanted to purchase it, but they didn't want to purchase it at what the owner wanted to sell it at. So it was actually a Utah broker who did both sides, both units there. But he purchased this one for himself, and it was a lot of work that needed to be done. And actually, Jax Petty, who's 2 doors down, we closed both transactions with him, and Jax really helped us to finalize like the terms, and then their office, their Liberty title, they put together everything for just the payments, monthly payments. So it worked out okay, but it was a little tricky with having the COA kind of like the HOA. So I think a lot of it was these owners, they buy units in there and then they like never leave, and they all have like exclusivities. Like I have people that want to buy into this. This is right in Sandy, the Union Square. They want to buy in there, but each one of the owners has exclusivity. Like I have a lady who wants to have a hair shop and a beauty supply, but she can't because there's a hair salon that's been there for 40 years. So anyways, when they do come up, we kind of scoop them up. So that one was a tough transaction for me, for sure, this restaurant. There was a lot with the restaurant too. I mean, it needed like a new grease trap, and there was a ton of issues. So anyways, that's kind of like what I do is more retail, and I've kind of went into the industrial side of things. I just roll with the market. So that's just the way it's ride the wave. So a gas station. Whew. So this gas station was tricky. So the pumps were in compliance and they were up to date, but they were closed. They just hadn't been filled yet. So I had a ton of people that wanted to buy a gas station, but they wanted, they wanted to be able to have pumps installed, like the actual units installed. And then I had some people that wanted to fill the tanks, the underground. So it was kind of, I had a ton of interest, but it was a big project to say. So anyways, I think the best way that they found the highest and best use for this was the land and what it could be used for. So because it was zoned commercial and residential, and there was like residential just a half an acre back, that we found a buyer that wanted to put condos. It was on the main road. They wanted to build condos there, which they could have, but we had to go through like multiple phase inspections and soil testing. There was a lot that had to go into, getting this sold. So I think there was probably at least almost 6 months of due diligence. And then at the very end there, closing day, actually closing, I was headed out there to get the keys and meet the owner. And our buyer was like a serial scammer, and he hit us with a lawsuit. And so it was Christina from GT Title that called me while I was headed out to Brigham City and said, this is not going to close. And I'm like, what do you mean? So we had a few hiccups along the way, but so it was tough. I was on the listing side. I usually am. And it was tough on the listing side. And I should have probably said this because the seller had a tenant in place, but wasn't operating any type of business. He was just more so holding the property for his own gain, I guess. And so he had a lease with option to purchase this property. So he wasn't going to walk away unless he was like well compensated and controlling the whole transaction. So he was not an owner, but I had to work directly with him and the owner. So there was like a lot of moving pieces when it came to the sale side of it, the listing side of it. And then the buyer had a Utah agent who was based out of, I want to say like Clearfield or Ogden or something. And he represented the buyer through the entire transaction. However, I think he was more at a distance. He wasn't at the property very much. And so I think the buyer we had was just trying to buy time, right, Randall? I think he was just trying to prolong the closing. So, the building sits vacant for a very long time. Of course, there had been vandalism, but not much. I mean, it was what it was. And the buyer's agent had been there. I mean, they had a 2-phase inspection. I had been there. I had met the inspectors multiple times. So the buyer's agent kind of dropped the ball and didn't do his due diligence in letting his buyer know, hey, look, there has been additional, which we fully disclosed everything. I mean, sent them videos. I mean, there's videos, but it wasn't anything. They were just trying to grab at anything. They're like, oh, there's graffiti on the back wall. Or I'm like, that's been there since day one, kind of thing. So they were just, the buyer was looking. So anyways, they put like a lien on the property closing day and said that they were basically suing the seller for performance because they weren't aware that the building was in the condition. There were some broken windows and, it was cosmetic. It's not like the place had caught on fire and half the building was, burnt down, but they made a huge ordeal out of it. And so anyways, Randall had my back like 200%. He literally showed up like the next day after the lawsuit and met myself and the attorney there in the cold and snow in January, right, Randall? Yeah, and it was tough. And they're Utah-based lawyers. So even though our buyer was like based out of like California, he was like sight unseen. So once they put that lien on, the buyer's agent disappeared. And we just like never heard from him again. And then we had this attorney that was involved. I think he was probably a decent attorney, but just was being paid well from afar, right, Randall? Kind of thing. It was tough. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, I say it was a lot of work, but it's yeah, that's how you get paid. That's why you're so good at it, is you always work through these challenges.
Thank you. It was hard. So anyways, closing day came. I thought they would have probably dragged it for another 6 months, but anyways, I think we threw like 12 grand at them and it just made them happy, which was okay. I mean, it was $12,000. And that was that. And then they were cash and they closed, and I didn't think that day was going to happen. So anyways, that was tough. But it probably could have been like a little bit more difficult had we had an operating business. So in a way, it was kind of good that it was just vacant. So anyways, so that was a lot of sales. And then I'll get into like the leasing. So this is a West Jordan retail space that I leased out for like a fellow mom friend who wanted to start her own business. She had been running it out of like her home and out of like storage units. So they were a startup business. I was on the buyer tenant side and worked with Mountain West Commercial, Spencer over there. I do quite a few with him. And so that was pretty smooth. It just took a little bit longer because there was a tenant in place that was already like in default. And so we had to like go through all the process, but they ended up renting out like 3,000 square feet, $18 a square foot, $4 triple nets, 3-year lease with, a renewable 3-year term with very little like increases yearly. So they're thriving, doing great. That was a really smooth transaction. I was super happy to see them. So let's see, another lease, Discount Tire. So I leased out for their corporate office in Salt Lake. That one was the easiest ever. And leasing can be a lot. I don't love it because there's not a lot of money in it. And there's a lot of paperwork. You kind of drown because these lease agreements, they're not like, they're all wrote up by like attorneys, or each brokerage has their own. And there's just, I don't know, 30 pages of legal jargon. So it's a lot of paperwork, but it's what's happening right now. So for me, it's the business, it's friends, it's family, it's clients I've worked with before that are like, you know what, I need to open a space here and I want to lease out. I don't want to purchase right now because of the rates. So for me, leasing has really just worked out. So the Discount Tire, that was 3,000 square feet, 1,000 of it. So like a third of it is office space and the rest was like warehouse space. 5-year with a 5-year renewable. And that one was like, I want to say $1.25 a square foot because it was industrial space. And I'll kind of get in the difference between industrial and business park space in a minute, but that went great. So I worked with a Harrison Property Management. Dave over there is great. He kind of like runs everything for them. He is a Utah broker as well. So he's got his license and I can count on him. Whenever I have somebody looking for a space, I call him up. Dave, what do you have? He hooks us up $1 a square foot. It works out great. Like my son's basketball team, they need a training place. So, Dave's going to call me as soon as he has something open and they can put down like special flooring and so if anyone knows of like someone needing like a warehouse space in Salt Lake, Dave's our guy. He always has spaces opening up. So right now, like here's one of my listings down in Payson, 10 units. This is a business park development. And so the difference between like the business park development is they can't do heavy manufacturing. It literally has to be light manufacturing, assembling, no storage, very little walk-in or retail traffic. So there is definitely a big difference. So if you know someone who's interested in like business park development, that's for like people doing like e-commerce stuff. They're just like packaging and shipping, or they're putting, like right now we have a guy going in there that does 3D art. So he makes like these cute little dinosaurs and printing. However, the assembly of it, we had to be very careful with because you can't do anything if breaking down raw materials. So like you can't melt anything, you can't, melt plastic or melt down any steel. We have to be careful. So these business park developments, again, being on the listing side, and most of these tenants, they're always unrepresented. They see our sign, they see our ad, they call up and say, hey, look, I have this business. No, I don't have an agent, but can you help me? And so we have to vet them really well. I've worked with the Equities Property Management side on this one. So they'll manage the property and I'm just getting the spaces leased out. And basically the tenants, they go through like a credit check, and then we look at their financials and we we look at their business license and make sure that they can. So they have to apply with the city before they can actually like sign a lease with us. And I've drafted up like all the leases. So representing both sides of them. And it's turned out pretty good. We have some good tenants in there already. So I think things are going good. We're like 60, almost 70% occupied right now. By the end of the year, we'll probably be done. And so the difference too, when it's not called a business park development and it's strictly like manufacturing, they can do heavy manufacturing. This place cannot. But again, a lot of people, like I have some clients that want to open up 2 of these spaces. So we'll just open up the wall and build out probably half of the 6,000 square feet. So 3,000 square feet will be like multiple offices, and they'll run their business out of there instead of leasing out office space. I mean, obviously we'll charge them more for the build out, you know, because we're not gonna do like a tenant allowance. We'll do the build out and then incorporate that in the dollar per square foot. So if you know anyone, we do have a couple units left, like 3 units left in Payson. We have a dance studio in there. So like those type of things are permitted. Any questions so far? No? Okay. And so Randall wanted me to talk a little bit about cost segregation. So like standard depreciation. So it's straightforward. You divide the purchase price by 39 and you claim that amount every year. And I've noticed, like, I follow different commercial investors, and they're trying to find, like, I guess the shortest way to write off as much as they can. And so if you have a study done, you can get on a schedule of like 5, 7, or 10 years, and any like improvements you make, that'll really help you. So this is kind of like an example of cost segregation. So you buy the building for 10 million, you minus the land, and then you divide that by the 39. And so it would look like you would claim, well, you would, 200,000 a year depreciation. So it helps. But yeah, so that's just kind of like a short presentation that I have. And I have a video that I want to share with you guys. It's just me talking, and I will be able to find it in a sec. Trying to figure out how to minimize my screen here.
So if you have a deal and you're not sure what to do with it, it's a commercial deal, then it's good to partner with somebody and let them help teach you how to do commercial real estate. And so Melissa would be a good person to talk to about doing that, because she's got good experience in a number of different areas of commercial real estate.
Yeah, I really, so let's see this video. Video in here. Sorry guys, I couldn't save it to my computer. So,
Melissa, Swan.
Yes.
What do as far as referring you commercial, or as far as the referral fee, would that look like in the future? Or how would like, let's say if I have somebody wanting to find building for a restaurant or something like that, what would something like that look like working with you as far as the numbers in that situation?
So usually it's a 30% referral fee, and you would send the client to me and then I would help them. I have had agents that want to be mentored, and it's okay, to follow along. But as far as trying to represent them, for like a purchase contract for a commercial building, that can be a little bit tricky. And so I'm open to doing both. If you want to do some of the work, like if you want to, I worked with an agent right now where she'll do the showings and then I do like the paperwork, and I teach her, how things go with like the leasing side of stuff, commercial leasing, because she does residential leasing for property management. But it would be just sending the client over to me. Or if you want to be directly involved, then we can work out some type of commission split, and then I can, try to, I don't know, mentor you through it. But yeah, finding a restaurant now, a standalone building is obviously a lot better than being in a retail center right now. It just seems to be the way, and definitely not in a mall. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I'd be happy to help. I can leave my phone number, and I think one of those slides had my like a QR code on there. But yeah, I'd be happy to help.
She's
Okay.
also in the branch. You could look her up there, but Melissa Milambo.
Yes. I was
Sounds
going to play a
good.
quick video. Is that okay? This is just like market trends. Just
Is there sound in there, Melissa?
Oh, you don't hear it?
No.
You don't hear it.
If you
Oh my
can hear
gosh,
it outside on your computers, then maybe it would.
I can hear it. Let me see. I have the volume up.
You have to stop sharing and then reshare and share sound.
Stop sharing and then reshare the sound.
Yeah, and then when you go to share, there's a little button in the bottom that says share sound.
Stop share.
I
Okay.
love that Angela's here. Yay.
Thank you, Angela. Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. So share screen. Do I click on that?
Yeah, click on share screen, and when it pops up, there should be like a little button that says share sound or share volume.
Share volume, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
So
maybe
when you
mine's
click on share
Mhm.
screen, there's in the bottom left corner, there's a button that says share sound, and you got to click on it. So you probably have to stop again.
I have to stop again. Okay. Because mine's at the top, but I have like mute, stop video, chats.
Is
I
that a
never seen.
YouTube? Is that a YouTube video, Melissa?
Oh, share sound. I see it. Let's see if this works. No, it's just like a video. I have this girl that does market
feel are poised to shape the market.
Can you hear it now?
Our first major
Yeah.
trend to keep an eye on is the rise of e-commerce. With
And
more
turn
and
it
more
up a little.
consumers turning to the internet for their shopping needs, especially post-pandemic, the demand for warehouse and distribution space is going to increase. This trend is already well underway with e-commerce giants like Amazon snapping up large warehouses and distribution centers all around the country. Flex space, which is a blend of office, warehouse, and distribution, has also seen further demand, especially here in Utah, from small businesses. On the flip side, many brick and mortar stores have struggled in recent years because of the rise of online shopping. So now retail investors may need to adapt by seeking new types of tenants or repurposing their spaces for non-retail use. The second trend, and one that is certainly top on my list that we will hear more and more about in 2024, is mixed-use development. Mixed-use developments combine residential and commercial space into a single project, which is a far better way to attain the highest and best use for any property. They are becoming increasingly popular as a way to create more vibrant and livable urban environments, and they can also have a positive impact on affordability for both businesses and residents, as well as lessen the strain on local infrastructure and traffic. As traffic and drive times increase, people want to spend more time within their neighborhoods where they can actually live, work, and play without having to spend so much time commuting. Another trend that has had a continued popularity in our market is co-working spaces and the demand for adaptable office space. Co-working spaces offer a flexible and cost-effective alternative to traditional office space, and they are becoming increasingly popular among small businesses, entrepreneurs, and freelancers. It is simply changing to fit our new workforce demands, much like retail has shifted in the last decade. With more and more people remotely working or on flexible work schedules, there is a growing need for co-working office space that is agile enough to accommodate a variety of work styles and needs. Another trend that is evolving right now is urbanization. As more and more people move to cities in search of work and opportunities, the demand for commercial and residential space in urban areas is only going to increase. The demand is already well underway, with many cities like Provo, Utah, number 12 out of the top 20 fastest growing cities in the U.S., has seen a surge in the construction of new commercial and residential buildings. Urbanization provides many benefits to residents, businesses, and cities alike because it helps increase walkability, livability, and convenience. Also, let's talk about the healthcare sector. It's another aspect of the commercial real estate market that we anticipate to see strong growth in the upcoming year. With an aging boomer population and an increasing focus on preventative care, the demand for medical office space, as well as a senior and assisted living, is definitely on the rise, even here in Utah. This trend is likely to be even more significant in urban areas, where a large percentage of the population is concentrated, and within neighborhoods where the aging population already lives, since they often prefer to age in place instead of relocating to somewhere new. Lastly, technology. Technology is another rapidly evolving side of commercial real estate. With the increase of smart devices and the increasing reliance on internet, we will see more demand for data centers and other tech-focused commercial properties, as well as tech-enabled properties. One example would be the implementation of artificially intelligent building systems. AI is only in the infancy of its use. The potential here is massive. While the trend is more likely to be found in cities with strong tech sectors like our own Silicon Valley and Seattle, demand is growing across the country because of the many data points and cost-cutting benefits it can bring. So overall, the commercial real estate market in 2024 is expected to be shaped by a number of key trends, such as e-commerce, the continued demand for co-working spaces, the shift towards urbanization, increased demand for healthcare, the rise of technology, and the trends towards mixed-use development. We didn't even mention how interest rates rose significantly in 2023. That will impact development in the years to come. These trends are likely to have a major impact on the market and will be worth keeping an eye on for anyone interested in commercial real estate. What trends do you think will dominate commercial real estate in 2024? Let's talk.
Still there?
Well, we can't.
Still there?
We can't hear you, Melissa. It's your voice is breaking up. Let me maybe if you just come back to the
Screen.
yeah. Let me take a look here, and I wonder if I can.
Sorry, I'm not great at this, and I hope you guys are able to at least see that video.
Yeah, we were. It looks like it's giving you a choice to. Let's see here if that works.
So I stopped sharing.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. So now we can just see each other. So let's open up a few minutes here to some questions. So you said that you could either do it for referral fee, or on occasion you would also, perhaps partner in the deal with you receiving a little bit more, since you're the one teaching and showing somebody how to do it. What is the I would say what is the, let me think here, how do I rephrase that? When you're meeting with clients, what's the number one thing that you're trying to do to tie up a commercial deal with them?
Well, just to be prepared, like I went on that listing agreement for the Meineke, and I should be talking to her this upcoming week. But when listing a commercial building, I just really want them to know what the building is worth and the land. This one does have a business in there, so that'll be separate. But I think the biggest issue when meeting with a client for listing is they just really don't know. They might be business owners, but most of them bought the building, 10 or so years ago. We're in a different market. They don't know what it's worth, but they're having offers. They always get offers from somebody because they talk to their family and friends, just kind of like a house. And then if I'm on the other side and I'm doing like the leasing side of something, and I meet with the buyer or the tenant, It's a lot of financials. We have to look at where they are financially within their business. And so that's why I have Angela on here. She actually referred a client to me who is an investor and looking to invest here in Utah. So she's already, pre-approved with like a large $200,000 down payment, which is good. But she's also looking for that higher cap rate. And that's the biggest issue, is finding something, that's over 8.5%. As, Randall, we've talked about, it's hard. You find them, but you seller finance. So that's the way to go. Yeah, right now. For her, I don't know that she wants to do the seller financing. She's already been approved for a loan, but just really making sure. And when it comes to leasing, we just have to make sure that the tenant is solid. Yeah, it's a little different. It's more like they look at the big picture. They just don't look at a letter from a lender, when we're trying to get, because I think everyone knows someone that wants to get into a space. They want to move their business. They've been working at home. They want to get into, a retail center where there is that, foot traffic, and they want to expand, or they want to open their restaurant. But it's really me as the agent, trying to prove to, CRC or Mountain West, like, look, my tenant is solid, when they're a first operating business, like first time. So a lot kind of goes into that. They look at credit. They don't look at anything personal, but they just look at like the business side of it, and cash. Really, they want to see that they have cash on hand. And a lot of these like larger outfits, they ask for at least 6 months up front, and because it's not cheap. I mean, we're looking at, to rent a 3,000 square foot in Salt Lake, it can be like $6,000 to $7,000 just for, a 2,500 or 3,000 square foot retail space, so they can, operate their business. So there's just depends on which side I'm on.
I was going to say, I think we're going to start seeing within the next probably 12 to 24 months, we'll see an increasing wave of people who are converting office space into condos.
Yes.
Like our corporate offices at Equity, the building seems to be mostly empty. Like on the second floor, there's me and one other kind of their business that's hardly ever there. And the building across the street's been empty for a year. Just nobody is there. But it seems like it's got a lot of parking. It's in, it's central to everything. And all the plumbing, everything, electrical is there. I mean, you have to move stuff around a little bit, but it seems like that's the next logical progression for office space, because nobody's going to the office anymore.
Nope. No, I agree. And that in like that kind of mixed use, like zoning, would be great. I mean, if they can we can build them in condos, and then they have that walkability. So yeah, I agree with that. And I've had a lot of dealing with the industrial side of things too, because we don't have anyone that wants to go into an office. And why do they want to pay, $12 or $14 a square foot plus the triple nets of the building, and they're not going to do that. They can work from home. So
yeah, I couldn't get rid of office space. I spent a year and a half saying, hey, I've got window offices, I've got big spaces, anybody want them? And it was lonely up on the second floor. So
yes, I bet.
So that's kind of how it is. But that's good. Anybody else have any questions for Melissa?
Well, thank you guys for listening to me and kind of letting me share my experience. And even if you have questions about transaction, that you're thinking about, I'd be happy to help. And, I can get on the phone with you and walk you through what I know about the commercial side of things.
Maybe just one quick thing is, how do you drum up business? What's one way to, maybe just your top 2 ways to drum up business in commercial?
Top 2 ways. So for me, it was super natural. That's how I got into the commercial real estate, because I was at KW at first, and somebody just came to me and said, I have a restaurant And that's how I met Bill, because he was there. And from that point on, it was really, for me, it was family, friends. And the way I've drummed up my own business is I just, same as residential, like I just talk about it, like the gas station. So it's a lady who does my hair. Her husband owns that gas station. So that happened. So just really talking to people. I actually have gone door to door in businesses. So before I had the baby, of course, you know, I would just get up and go. And for me, it was a lot easier to walk into a business than it is to door knock someone's personal home. I don't know why, but it just was. So like I have two, right at the end of our street here, our neighborhood, there's a Honda mechanic who is leasing a large space. And I just went in there one day and probably talked to him about my car. That's what it was. I have an Acura. He goes, well, I don't really do a lot with Acuras. You got to go to Acura. Anyways, it was an opportunity. It's Honda made, you know, but it was an opportunity for me to talk to him. At that point, he says, my goal is to be, you know, in my own shop. I want to be in, you know, North Salt Lake, Bountiful, Centerville. And I'm always looking when there's a space that comes up that he can afford, we're going to get him into that. And just the local businesses here, and always just talking to people. But yeah, I think to drum up commercial business, like there's a shoe shop repair place on 89, and I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to talk to the owner. Why? Because I heard that he's interested in selling it. He's retiring. It's a great little place that somebody can make, like maybe a barber shop right there, right, you know, right off the main road. So it's just really walking in and talking to people is what I've done.
But I think you're right. It's easier to walk into a business than a house, because I know a lot of times when I go home after a long day of dealing with people, it's like I enter my castle, I pull up the drawbridge, throw the crocodiles out of the moat, you know, and it's
Right.
like, I don't want to see anybody, you know, it's like
Right.
somebody knocks on the door. I'm like, oh crap, not, you know, I should be like, oh good, somebody's coming to see me. But I'm usually like, well, you know, who's this, you know? And
Who is it? Don't open the door. Yeah. Look on the camera. Right.
yeah, whereas
Yeah.
businesses, you know, we want people to walk into our businesses. We expect people to come in and talk to us. And so
Yeah, I have done that, Randall. I just don't like door knock businesses like in shopping centers or anything, because they're leased out. You know, they don't own those. You know, it's not like the COA, the little Union Center in Sandy, but it will be just, you know, smaller buildings, just individual buildings. And that's been good for me. And really just like word of mouth, and a lot of referral business. My neighbors, I have a neighbor who wants to open a coffee shop. So they're building right off of Redwood and Center Street in North Salt Lake. They're finally going to put some retail. I mean, there might even be a hotel, a few restaurants. It's going to be a huge center next to Amazon, actually, literally right next to Amazon. They're going to take the whole corner there. So I've already been in touch with Mountain West has that. And I've been in touch with my people over there. And so we're hoping to get a drive-through space for one of my neighbors in my community. She's going to open a gourmet coffee shop. We don't have any coffee shops here. Like we don't have any. So we go to a gas station or we drive to Woods Cross to Starbucks. So just kind of like networking, you know, the same you would as residential.
So I just had a question here. Somebody says, is there a questionnaire for buyers looking for commercial properties? What questions should we be asking?
Okay. So first of all, you need to ask them what type of business that they want to run. And if they say, oh, well, you know, I've been doing it out of my spare bedroom, you know, we may have to look at, you know, we have to look at the numbers. And so financials, projected type of sales. Yeah. And a lot of these like startup businesses where they're not already established, you know, they don't do any taxes for them. And if you want to, and Angela can help with this part as far as, she would be the one to ask that, but really it's vetting them, you know, what their business looks like, where do they want to be, what's their clientele, that they want to target. You know, I have someone who is a friend of ours and from Tanzania wanting to open a Swahili grill. Well, most of her clientele, she has a catering business. It's amazing right now, you know, out of a little space, but she wants to open a retail, you know, a restaurant. And we're going to do that soon when she's ready. It's just financial for her is getting ready and to have that type of cash. But yeah, I mean, those are the questions. You really just need to vet them, and the same thing, where do they want to be and how much do they want to purchase a building? Yeah, we're talking to Angela. And Angela's a preferred commercial lender that I'm working with right now, and she can put them in, you know, where they would need to be. So
Yeah.
maybe Angela, if you want to, yeah.
I'll take it from here. I have a couple of
Perfect.
things I wanted to share with you guys, go over some of the options you guys have to get your clients into those commercial spaces. So let me share my screen. I'll go over here. So hi guys, I'm Angela. I'm with Nexa Mortgage. We're one of the top brokers in the country. We do both residential and commercial. I went over to Nexa because all of my friends were asking me about commercial, and I was like, why can't I do it? So I went to somewhere where I could do both, and that's what led me over to Nexa. I have been in mortgage for about 6 years. I worked my way up from being a receptionist to a mortgage broker, and it's been a fun journey. I've learned everything from processing to now commercial. Commercial has been a really exciting thing to dive into because I'm finding it's a lot easier than residential in some ways, because really, like you said, all you have to really do is vet the people. They usually just have to be established, they have to show some cash flow, and they have to have the money to put down. And there's so many options for them to get into homes. And this is a little bit of my family. I have a 4-year-old and a giant Great Dane, so I think you probably saw him pop in here, and then my husband. I grew up in Kearns. I'm now up in North Ogden, so I'm very familiar with Utah. I've grown up here. But some of the commercial loans that we offer are SBA loans, USDA loans, multifamily, fix and flip, construction, hard money, and bridge lending. So you're probably thinking SBA loans. Well, why would I want to do that? A lot of times when you're owner occupied in a commercial space, it's going to be an SBA loan. Those are for your cookie cutter deals. So those people that, you know, have been established for several years, they have the money down. That's usually what they'll qualify for, is your SBA loans. But if you have some of those harder ones, that's where you kind of go into the hard money, where somebody might want to get into the property now, but doesn't necessarily have the financial backing or stuff like that, haven't been established. You can look at the hard money. Those are usually the ones that have challenging credit, don't have enough cash flow to show. They can get into the properties with hard money and then end up getting refinancing later. Or like what Melissa was saying earlier with building out there in Redwood, they can build construction. They could go ground up construction and build their space if that's something they wanted to do. So there's a lot of different options when you get into commercial space for loans, for new people, for new investors. And I wanted to come over 3 of our most popular commercial loans that I've been seeing. And the first one is hard money, because a lot of those people don't fit into the cookie cutter mold, and they provide relief for people that can't wait around. They really want to get into the property, close quickly, and they have a solid exit plan. Maybe they'll have more cash flow at the end of the year, and so they'll refinance later. But this gets them into the property, this gets them in building their business, and then once they start cash flowing, they can refinance into more of a standard conventional loan. This gets them into the property, and we can do loan amounts as low as 200K up to 50 million. So if you have anybody that's wanting to do a big commercial development, this is a great option for them to hurry and get the funds quickly to start building. Or even like what Randall was saying, for those people that have those commercial spaces that may want to come in and flip them, hard money is a great option too. So they could come in, buy those commercial spaces and turn them into condos, and that's their exit plan. And so they could get this hard money loan, go in, flip it to whatever they like, and then sell it for probably double what they put into it. And with that,
I have
the
11
financing is there again. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I say I have 11 hard money loans going right now?
They are a popular one right now. They're so easy. You usually don't need appraisal. You don't have to provide tax documents. So they're extremely great for investors. It's a great option when you just want to get the money quick and make your money fast. So, and then permit financing, that's another one for like your cookie cutter deals. Like my aunt, she owns a tow truck company. We're finding a commercial space for her. She just needs a space with a lot of land. And that's something she could do with the permanent financing because she's been established for several years. She's been leasing her space, but now it's time for her to buy. So this is somebody that's been leasing for several years, but they want more. They want to own their business. That's probably where they would go the commercial financing route.
Angela?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I just have a quick question.
Of course.
So on like the permanent financing, if it's going to be owner occupied and the owner is going to occupy more than 50% of the property, can you tell me, do they only have to put 10% down if they're going to occupy the 50? Because I have another commercial lender that I worked with on something else, and as long as it was a mixed use development space that was already developed. And so yes, the owner would occupy more than 50% of that whole building.
Absolutely. Anytime the owner is occupying any of the commercial space, that it's only 10% down, especially on those mixed use properties. So like my aunt, she was going to be purchasing, only needed to put 10% down because her business is going to be running that space. So if they're the owner, they intend, like even a restaurant. So if they were the owner intending to run the restaurant, they would only have to put 10% down.
Okay, thank you.
I say only. Usually you get into
only, right? 10% of 3 million, right? Yeah, no, I got you.
And permanent financing usually are those longer terms, you know, 20, 15 years, 30 years. And then the other one that's been the most popular are fix and flips. People are buying these rundown commercial properties, fixing them, and then selling them. So we can go up to 90% of the ARV. Up to 90% of the cost, so loan to cost, but not to exceed 70% of the repair value. So essentially what that means is we can finance 90% of the project as long as the after repair value is going to be 70% or less or more. I'm sorry. So basically we can help finance the whole purchase and then up to 90% of the cost. So whatever that might be, as long as it's going to appraise for 70%, you just have to bring in the difference. And those are usually a 12 to 18 month term, and they do accept foreign nationals. So those are great for those investors that are outside of the country that may want to, you know, purchase a gas station like you had and come in and remodel it. And, you know, that repair value will be there once it's been fixed and up to code and running stuff like that. So these
What's
are
the interest rate on that currently?
What was that?
What's the interest rate on those?
They range. Since I'm a broker, I shop all of them. They can go from 9 to 15% on those fix and flips. So they do have a wide range, but depending on the program that they want, I can find a good rate for them. So I'll shop about, I think I have 20 different commercial lenders that I work with in Utah, but I have probably 50 nationwide. So I'm also licensed up in Idaho, but you don't need to be licensed in every state to do commercial lending, which is kind of cool. Another reason I started tapping into that one as well. But let's see. I only had a little bit for you guys. So that was really it. If you want to connect with me, I left my QR code up there. So you can, it has my email, my phone number. I've also was mentioning with Randall a new business platform that I've been working on. And it's very similar to Zoom, but it's helped me sell more. I do my presentations on there a lot. It's called Be Connected. It's been pretty awesome. And I don't know why it doesn't want me to stop sharing my screen. I'm like, I guess I just don't use Zoom enough anymore. It was there.
I sent you a friend request on Facebook. I love Mommy and the Mortgages. So
yeah. You loved what? What was that?
Well, I loved where you said I love Mommy and Mortgages.
Oh yeah, that's my Instagram. So I did Mom and Mortgages because I was like, Well, that's all I do is take care of my toddler and help people get into homes. So I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful.
Thanks,
I,
Randall.
I like
And
that
thanks for
you do
having me.
money as well, because that's always a good thing.
It is.
And then somebody asking me for a copy of the PowerPoint. So I would copy her, just take her information. She hasn't, and contact her directly. Also, I will be posting this on Elevate as well. Have William post it there on Elevate here when we're done. I'll upload it to YouTube and then post it to Elevate. So it's good.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think I really need to show you Be Connected, Randall, because you could host all of your masterminds in the group and everybody could go and see all your replays.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a look at it for sure. I actually pulled it up on the screen, and I'll look at after we're done. But thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. And it's good to hear from you and Melissa. And I like to see, hear what agents are doing and people are doing, to get business and different, types of things. And those are pretty competitive hard money rates. I mean, it's like, we're paying usually 10 to 12%. And I've been loaning out at 12% as well. So it's,
I'll pull it up today.
Yeah, so it's a good thing. So awesome. Well, I wish all of you a good week and lots of success this coming week. And next week, before we go, next week we've got Jax Petty who's going to come on and talk to us about using contract for deed in seller financing transactions. There are times when my preferred way of using a trust doesn't always work, and so contract for deed is good. And Jax is going to talk to us about that and seller financing, just to get an attorney's outlook at that. So he's going to be on next week, next Monday, same link, same time, 9 to 10. And I'll look forward to seeing you then. Take care.
Thanks so much, Randall.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Melissa. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Angela. Bye.